We now know the name of the woman shot and killed just yards away from the front door of a Fulton County elementary school, and school officials telling 11 Alive she was Eboni Anderson, a mother of Fulton County students. Now, officials say the shooting took place because of a domestic dispute that spilled onto the campus of Palmetto Elementary School.
I was walking up the steps, about to walk out of the building, and two of the administrators, they stopped me, and they were, of course, in a rush, rushing me to a safe zone, and I picked my baby up and I took off running.
What would you do if you heard gunshots while dropping your child off at school? How would you react knowing that just feet away from hundreds of innocent children, someone's life was being violently taken? This isn't a hypothetical question. This happened just days ago, and the details are more disturbing than you might imagine. Welcome back to CrimeLab Report, where we break down the cases that shake our communities to their core. If you're new here, this is where we discuss real crimes, real victims, and real consequences. Today, we're covering a case that happened on February 11th, 2026, at Palmetto Elementary School in Fulton County, Georgia. A case that raises serious questions about safety, relationships, and how well we really know the people we let into our lives. Before we get into it, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications, because cases like this need to be talked about. They need attention, and your engagement helps us keep bringing these stories to light. So here's what happened. It's a Tuesday morning, just after 11 o'clock. Parents are going about their day. Kids are in classrooms learning, and the school day is running like any other ordinary day. Then suddenly, gunshots ring out, not inside the school, but right outside near the front entrance. Can you imagine the terror? The confusion? Within seconds, a staff member hits the emergency alert button. The school goes into immediate hard lockdown. More than 550 children are inside that building. 550 kids. Teachers are scrambling to lock doors, get students away from windows, keep everyone calm while their own hearts are probably racing. Parents start getting notifications. Panic spreads through the community like wildfire. And outside, lying near the front of that elementary school, is the body of a 34-year-old woman named Eboni Anderson, shot, killed, in broad daylight, at a place where children are supposed to feel safe. Now here's where it gets even more disturbing. This wasn't some random act of violence. This wasn't a stranger committing a senseless crime. Investigators quickly determined this was domestic. This was personal. This was someone she knew, someone she had a relationship with. And he chose an elementary school as a location to end her life. Think about that for a second. An elementary school. The man responsible didn't stick around. 39-year-old Christopher Loris Atesh fled the scene immediately after shooting Eboni. He got in his vehicle and took off. But running from what you've done doesn't make it go away, does it? It just makes everything worse. Police spotted his vehicle about 120 miles away near Warner Robins. What followed was a high-speed chase. Atesh was driving recklessly, trying desperately to escape the inevitable. And here's something that makes this even more heartbreaking. There was a child in the car with him, a child crying in the back seat, while this man was fleeing from taking another person's life. The chase ended when Atesh crashed on Highway 96. His vehicle hit a semi-truck, struck a bridge guardrail, and went down an embankment. When officers got to the wreckage, they found that crying child inside. Can you imagine what that child witnessed? What they felt? The trauma doesn't end with the victim. It ripples outward, touching everyone connected to these acts of violence. Atesh was arrested right there. He was booked on charges including reckless driving, fleeing from police, and cruelty to children. And those were just the immediate charges. The murder charges from Fulton County were pending. He's now waiting to be extradited back to face what he's done. But let's back up for a moment, because I want you to understand something important about this case. This wasn't Christopher Atesh's first time in trouble with the law. Not even close. This man had a criminal history that stretched back nearly 20 years. In 2006, he was convicted of armed robbery and served a 10-year prison sentence. Armed robbery. That means he'd already shown a willingness to use violence to get what he wanted. Since then, his record included weapons violations, resisting arrest, and obstruction charges. So the question becomes, How is someone with this kind of history free to commit an act like this? And this is where we need to talk about something that's becoming a serious problem, not just in Georgia, but across the country. Repeat offenders. People who keep cycling through the system, getting arrested, getting released, and then committing more crimes. In Atlanta alone, police arrested over 1,000 repeat offenders in 2025. These weren't people with 1 or 2 prior offenses. We're talking about individuals connected to more than 32,000 prior offenses combined. Let that sink in for a moment. One Atlanta police lieutenant said something that really stuck with me. He said people actually come to Fulton County specifically to commit crimes because they know they won't have to do the time. Suspects have literally told officers to their faces that they choose to offend in this area because the consequences are minimal. How broken does a system have to be for criminals to openly acknowledge they're exploiting it? But we're not here to dive deep into criminal justice reform today. We're here to talk about Eboni Anderson and what happened to her. Because while statistics and policies matter, there was a real human being whose life was taken that Tuesday morning. A woman with hopes, dreams, and people who loved her. Eboni was working when she died. She was a DoorDash driver, out there trying to make a living, trying to support herself. Her stepfather believes she was at that elementary school, delivering food. She was doing her job. She wasn't bothering anyone. She was just trying to get through her day like the rest of us do. And that's when Christopher Ates showed up and took everything from her. She was a mother. That's important to understand. Eboni had 3 sons, 2 8-year-old twins and an 18-month-old baby. An 18-month-old. That child will never remember their mother's face, except through photographs. Those twins will have to grow up knowing their mom was taken from them in such a violent, senseless way. What do you even say to children trying to process something like that? Her stepfather, Tarek Robinson, spoke about her after her death. You could hear the pain in his words. He said she was loving, beautiful, kind to everyone. She had a great heart. She was a great mother who loved her boys and did everything she could for them. And now those boys have to grow up without her, without either parent, actually, because it appears Atesh may have been the father of at least one of those children. Robinson also mentioned something else that's worth paying attention to. He said he knew Atesh wasn't trying to go anywhere in life. He called him the person who just happened to step into Eboni's life.
Eboni is my stepdaughter. I've been with the family for 15 years now, and she was a great daughter, very, very beautiful, nice and kind to everyone, and just sad day.
Okay, and did she have children? What was her family situation?
Yes, so she has 8-year-old twins, 2 boys, and she has an 18-month 1-year-old who happened to be in the car during the chase, but he's okay. I went to go pick him up from the county that he was in, so I got him and retrieved him last night.
So he was in the car during the chase?
Correct. Yes.
Strapped in the car with him?
Not know him, but we met him. I didn't have any good communication with him.
Okay, so this was just a surprise to y'all?
Yes, of course, it's a great surprise.
So stuff was out all through the day. People were they heard a shooting in a school, and then things were coming together, and then you found out around, you said 3 o'clock when you had to go pick up the 8-year-olds, that something had happened to her.
Correct.
How is her mom doing?
She's not doing too good. We have family here, and just trying to consult her, and the kids are helping, and so everything is going the way it should.
How are they doing, the twins?
They're fine. They're doing good. So, like I said, right now we're just having a moment, and we're just trying to let the day pass and just continue on.
What can people do to help support her family?
Well, we're putting out a GoFundMe to help out with Eboni laying her to rest, and for the most part, we're doing good. Prayers, that's all we need, and that's pretty much it.
Okay, what do you want people to remember about her?
She was, those that know her, they already know she was a loving daughter, beautiful, always. So that's it.
And she was also a mother.
Yes.
Can you talk about how she was as a mother?
She was a great mother. She loved the boys, and so she did everything and that she could for them. So that's pretty much it.
I can imagine like right now everything is kind of still like at that beginning, that kind of shock period. Have you decided yet though when you might lay her to rest?
No, so we're working on that now. So at this particular time, we do not have a date set, but again, this just happened yesterday, and so we're moving forward to make those arrangements.
And the car that the chase happened in, was that her car or his?
Yes, it was
her
her.
car.
Yes.
Okay, what you said that, can you talk about like where she went to school, kind of what's her progression in life?
Yeah, well, her high school, she started off at South Gwinnett High School, and then she ended up, there was a split during that time, because she's 34 years old. And then she ended up graduating from Shiloh High School. So, but yeah, we're Gwinnett, Snellville.
And what were her goals? Like, what did she want to do with this life?
Be happy, of course, become rich. So those are the main two goals, but mainly to be happy and, do good in life. That was her heart.
I imagine there's a want for justice at this point.
Yeah, I mean, from my understanding, he's in custody, so, we'll go through that. He has several charges, but at this particular time, I can't tell you, that much because I don't know that much, and we're just still on hold. So like they said, it's an ongoing investigation, and we'll find out, what happens tomorrow, next day, so I'll be on it almost every day.
But Tarika, sounds like right now your focus is on her mother, on her two boys. The 18-month-old, is that a boy or a girl?
Boy.
So she has 3 sons.
Right.
So just focusing on supporting them?
Yes, just staying strong for the family.
Right, people can, of course, help support and help lay her to rest with a GoFundMe. So, of course, you'd appreciate prayers as well.
That is correct. That's it.
Because, like right now, I imagine a lot of people will be contacting you and reaching out, but then as time goes on, sometimes that diminishes. So, I guess just to keep y'all in.
Yeah, just keep us in prayer. At the end of the day, the world is still spinning. So, we all have work to do, and and just we have to stay positive and just keep going strong.
You can hear the regret there, can't you? The family had concerns. They saw something wasn't right. But what could they do? We can't control who the people we love choose to be with. We can warn them, express our concerns, but ultimately, those decisions are theirs to make. And this brings up something really important about domestic situations. How many times have you heard someone say they never saw it coming? That the person seemed fine? That there were no warning signs? But then you dig a little deeper and you find out there were signs. People just didn't know what they were looking at, or they didn't want to believe what they were seeing. Georgia has a serious problem with this type of violence. The state ranks 10th in the nation for the rate at which women are taken by domestic incidents. 10th, and in cases studied through Georgia's Domestic Violence Fatality Review Project, children were present during the killing in 42% of cases. Almost half the time, children are witnessing these horrific acts. They're seeing things no child should ever see, experiencing trauma that will follow them for the rest of their lives. Think about those students at Palmetto Elementary. Over 550 kids were inside that building when this happened. Some of them heard the gunshots. One parent said her daughter ran to her terrified, saying she was so scared. These children went to school that day expecting a normal Tuesday. Maybe they were excited about lunch or recess or seeing their friends. Instead, they experienced something that will likely stay with them for years. They had to be evacuated to another school. Parents were frantically trying to get information, desperate to know if their children were safe. The principal, Jacqueline Bowens, had to send out a letter reassuring families that no students or staff were in danger, that this was an isolated incident. But how reassuring can that really be? Yes, the emergency protocols worked. Yes, everyone inside was kept safe. But a woman still died on school property. Violence still found its way to a place meant for learning and growth and childhood innocence. What does it say about our society when disputes escalate to this level? The Atlanta police chief mentioned that the number one reason people lose their lives in that city is because of escalating disputes. Not gang violence, not robberies gone wrong, just arguments that spiral out of control until someone ends up dead. Think about how many times you've had a disagreement with someone. Maybe you got angry. Maybe harsh words were exchanged. But it ended there, right? Because most people have the ability to walk away, to cool down, to recognize that no argument is worth taking a life over. But some people don't have that switch. Some people let anger consume them to the point where they make irreversible decisions. And Christopher Atesh made his decision that Tuesday morning. He decided that whatever was happening between him and Eboni was worth ending her life over. worth traumatizing an entire school over, worth destroying his own future, and the futures of those 3 little boys who needed their mother. The community has rallied around Eboni's memory. A GoFundMe was created to help with funeral arrangements. People who knew her described her as a beautiful, kind, and gentle soul who carried warmth and love in her heart. That's who she was. Not a statistic, not just another case number. She was someone who mattered, someone who brought light into the world. And that light was extinguished by someone who claimed to care about her. We see these patterns repeating over and over again. Relationships that turn dangerous. Warning signs that get ignored or minimized. Systems that fail to protect people until it's too late. And innocent lives lost because we as a society haven't figured out how to break these cycles. Counselors were made available at the school to help students and staff process what happened. Classes resumed the next day because life has to go on, doesn't it? But those children will remember. Their parents will remember dropping them off at school the next morning with a knot in their stomach, wondering if they're really safe. Teachers will remember looking out their windows and seeing crime scene tape where there should only be playground equipment and school buses. Here's what really gets me about this case. Eboni was just trying to work. She was out there hustling, delivering food, making an honest living to support her children. She wasn't looking for trouble. She wasn't in a dangerous situation by choice. She was at an elementary school, and someone who was supposed to care about her tracked her down and killed her there. What kind of mindset do you have to be in to do something like that? What level of rage or entitlement or complete disregard for human life does it take? And that child in the car during the chase. What were they thinking as Atesh drove recklessly, trying to outrun the consequences of what he'd just done? Were they scared? Confused? Did they understand what was happening? That child is another victim in this case. Another life forever altered by one man's inability to control himself. So, what do we take away from this? What lessons can we possibly draw from such a senseless tragedy? Maybe it's that we need to take domestic concerns more seriously. When someone expresses worry about a relationship, we should listen. When we see signs that something isn't right, we need to speak up. Maybe it's that our justice system needs serious examination when people with violent histories keep ending up back on the streets. Maybe it's that we need to have harder conversations about anger, control, and what happens when people decide their feelings matter more than someone else's life. 3 boys lost their mother. A family lost their daughter. A community lost a member. And hundreds of children had their sense of safety shattered. All because one person made a choice. One terrible, violent, irreversible choice. What could have been done differently? Could Eboni have been protected? Were there intervention points we're not seeing? And how many more cases like this will it take before we start making real changes? If this case affected you, if it made you think about someone in your life who might be in a dangerous situation, don't stay silent. Resources exist. Domestic violence hotlines are available 24/7. Sometimes just reaching out, just checking in, can make all the difference. Hit that like button if you want to see more coverage of cases that need attention. Subscribe if you haven't already because these conversations matter. Share this video. Let's keep Eboni Anderson's name alive and push for the changes that could prevent the next tragedy. Drop a comment below with your thoughts. And remember, stay safe out there. We'll see you in the next one.